All right, this is a free-form discussion on For the Lord RPG. Um, just want to talk about it. Talk about what this game is about. This is this is an OSR game, and it does translate to like the DCC or the Goodman games or the OSRs or whatever. For instance, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. I was going through and I got some of these mutant crawl classics for my just to give me some influences for my Christian post-apocalyptic game. And when I was looking at the stats of these things, I realized that they're very compatible to. Let me find those up. They're just so compatible to translatable. Like here, I don't know. Let's say initiative. Okay, fine. Attack, bite +1, melee 1d6 damage. Yeah, armor class 9. My defense starts at 12 and it goes up. You can do that. So what they're doing is armor class is 9. It's to do with their armor and I don't know, their armor and dexterity. I'm not sure what they do here. But let me just keep going. Hit points 7. Yeah, that's about right. Move 30 feet, whatever. Actions a d20 to roll. Proto animals. This is weird. I don't even know what the special stuff is here. Fortitude, reference, will. These are all like saves here. Intelligence 4 to 18. I don't know what that means. SP. Special attack. I don't know. Let me go to something more generic. What is this? These are creatures, right? This is experimental creatures. Let me go to something more basic. Here, skull, aliens. Oh boy. Okay, whatever. Okay, initiative +1. Fine. Spear attack +1 does d6 damage. Poison dart +1 ranged does d3. Whatever I could do d4. DC 13. Okay, so difficulty class 13. Or save or paralysis take a d4 in d4 rounds. So you could do in For the Lord RPG the same thing. 13 save against prowess, or you get a prowess or spiritual or intellect, whatever trait you want to add to try to save, plus anything else that they want to use. If they got medical supplies, they can add that to the roll. So that'll add like another die rank or and a die rank is, by the way, is d4, d6, d8. In For the Lord RPG, instead of +1, +2, +3, you get +1 die rank, +2 die rank, +3 die rank, +4. That's one die rank. If you have 2 die ranks, it's this one. If you have 3 die ranks, it's d8. If you have 4, it's a d12, and that. And then if it goes to 6 die ranks, it's going to be this and this, and you pick the highest. You roll it, and you pick the highest, which is a 4. So die ranks work that way. So if it's 7 die ranks, this is 5 die ranks, and this is 2 die ranks. So you roll that, and you pick the highest. 9 or 6, rather. Okay, so that's how die ranks work in For the Lord RPG. And usually it's a roll with your d20 plus your ability score or trait, whatever that is. And then, so let's say you have a sword attack, right? You have your d20, of course, and you get your prowess, which is your strength. And let's say you're awesome warrior, you get +4. So d20 +4. But instead of having like a profession bonus or a skill bonus, well, you'd have a skill bonus, obviously. It's in die ranks. And you can upgrade those die ranks whenever you want. You get 1 die rank, for first level, 2nd die rank for 2nd level, whatever, 3rd, 3, 4, 5. You can go 6, 7, 8, you can keep going. But it costs that many die ranks to get it. So if you want 7 die ranks in your sword, that's 7, it costs you 7 glory points to get that next level. But here's the great thing about it is that as you go up from 1 die rank of your sword skill to 2 die ranks of your sword skill to 3 die ranks of your sword skill to 4 die ranks. And by the way, this also combines with you have a +1 sword. It's not a +1 sword in For the Lord RPG. It's +1 die rank sword. So it combines with your die ranks of your skill. Maybe you get blessed, or maybe you get an advantage, high ground or something like that. Or the GM says, you got an advantage for this or that reason. You combine those die ranks. So you could get 7 die ranks based on all of that, and being a lowly level, being a 2nd or 3rd die rank swordsman, right? With just 1 or 2 die ranks. You can get those other bonuses. They all combine. So you could get 7 die ranks, 8 die ranks. What's 8 die ranks? 5 here and 3 because it's a D8. So as you know. So if I line these up, right, it's like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I got 5, it'd be this one, and then a 3. Oops, a 3 would be this one here. So you roll these two along with your d20, and you get 16 plus 5. Okay. Now so it becomes a die. This is a dice pool, your die rank. The reason I do it that way, the reason I do die ranks, and this it can go high. You can go like, let me get another d12. You could get like 10 die ranks in that skill. Grab another d12 from over here. I'll get 2 of them just for the fun of it. So if you get a bunch, like say you get 15 die ranks, that's 3 of these, right? So you roll that. That's pretty, for sword fighting, you probably won't get 15 die ranks. I'm just being silly here. But a lot of times they will get this, especially in the APOC and in the sci-fi, when they want to do engineering. When they want to do engineering or research or repairs, they really want to get as many die ranks as they can. And what's really cool is that they can, because they will start gathering die ranks together based on every bonus they can get, whether it's a workshop, the tools they got, they get help. Someone else does help. They do prayer, they get a blessing. They get, they'll get supplies like low tech supplies or high tech supplies, which will give them some of them are normal, but some of them will be 1 die rank, and those will add up too. So we want to put 5 of those in there. We want to do can we do some research? And based on that roll, we get extra die ranks to add to this? Yeah, of course you can. So that's the cool thing about my game, is that you can actually do die rank rolls upon die rank rolls in preparation for a major roll. At some point I say, that's enough. But they can, if they want to go that deep dive into their role, their engineering. If they're trying to engineer a new laser gun, and they want to get super high, and I give them a super high difficulty level based on that as well. It's really, I really like delving into the weeds of this game, and it is meant, not sadly, joyfully, but sadly, it is meant for serious DNA RPGers. My game, the way I designed it. It is simple too, though. It's weird. It is simple to start off with, but you can get this complicated if you want with a ton of die ranks to do engineering. But you can also just play the game with, I got 2 die ranks and plus 3 sword, and I'm gonna roll and try to hit the thing. And it's very simple, and it equates to the simple OSRs of this. So let's get back to, I don't know what all these like special attacks are. So so I did the paralysis. DC 13 is the same as mine. You can do 12, 13, 14, however difficulty. Armor class is 12 here, and it's semi-translatable. I have to figure out the translation, but you get 12. Your defense is not your armor. Your defense is starts off with a 12 along with your awareness. Being aware, that'll add and make your mind defense go up. Along with a shield, because the shield deflects. A great helmet, or helmets deflect. I consider that even in my own medieval armor fighting. But regular armor will absorb damage, so there's that. I have a separate armor save to reduce damage. So there is that, but it's pretty minor. It's within this range, and the hit die is, I guess, the hit points of each of the things, which is 6 is equatable to mine. And these saves here to your fortitude, blah, 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 and will are comparable to my. I just use traits. Whatever trait you believe, which is ability scores, whatever trait you think is most accurate for resisting something, you use that trait. So if someone's trying to charm you, you use my society trait. Use your society trait. If you got poisoned or pain or whatever, you can use your prowess, which is your strength, basically, strength and constitution, or you can use your spiritual, which is your willpower. But just to give you an example, I got these to just to get influences in there, and they're all kind of, whatever. Look, they got a cross here. And there is actually in some of these Goodman Mutant Crawl Classics, Goodman games, but the Mutant Crawl Classics, there's actually very close to Christian stuff in there. They have like a monastery in one of them and all this other stuff, but they just don't have Jesus Christ in it, which is really kind of annoying. And also, here's something else. The Dungeon Crawl Classics uses the level 0 adventure concept. And to me, that's a little eye-rolling, because it basically means, hey, let's have a gladiator fun adventure where you get to kill off a bunch of people. And that's the thing about the pagan world. They entertainment to them is killing off people, killing them in gladiatorial type arenas, and they all do it. Dark Shadow or whatever, they all kind of have fun just killing off characters. And I'm just not into that, right? We're Christians. We're into life. And so the characters in here, and the reason I have the die ring system is so that we don't just get hit the 10th level and then we quit the character and start a new one and throw that one away. You can keep going on and on and on with these characters, because the die ring system kind of dilutes the severity of your bonuses, as you progress, right? So, if you have 2 die rings plus your +4 sword, +4 strength, whatever, in your 2 die rings, you roll a d6. So you could roll a 1 sometimes, It just, or if you have 5 die rings in your skill and sword plus 1 die ring sword and all that, you could have 5 die rings and you're rolling this, but you still roll a 1. So what happens is that it just broadens the range of that bell curve chance of succeeding and failing. It makes it wider. And as you get higher in your die rings and you get this many or whatever when you roll, I mean, yes, the bell curve is going to shift to being more and more successful all the time. But there's still that little thin bell curve of chances of failing and that really high thing because up above. Because if you roll an 8 or 7 or above, you get to explode that die, add it to anything else. If there's like a 10 and an 8, you get to add the 8. Also, if you roll one 7 or above in the extra dice, you get to cancel out a nat 1, which has really been really huge, a huge joyful thing for the players. That if you happen to roll, if you only have 1 die and you happen to roll an 8, then you can't, you're so skilled at your thing that you fight through the fumble, so that's really a fun thing. And you can add a bunch of other little combos, because if this right here is what, 9 die rings, 5 and a 4, so 9 die rings. If you roll that right there is exploding, so you would get a 9 and a 12 plus whatever you roll in here. If you got that, that would be so huge. But you could also just as easily roll, something like this, which would be devastating, or even that, it's like, I've seen that plenty of times, and it's been funny and hilarious, because they're so awesome. They got their 9 die rings, they got their blessing, their skill, and their sword, and their blessing, and their high ground, but they'll still roll small. So that's the great thing about this game, is that even as you get more and more die rings, you don't become so overpowering. In my Christians of Space campaign, they've been playing for 3 years now. A new player could come in and fit right in. That's how cool it is. That's how I love the die rings, because even the best of characters, they can do things. They can certainly do more and better and tougher, survive things. But at the same token, a player could come in and still accomplish things right along with them. A 0 level, first level could come along and accomplish stuff. And obviously the advanced characters have like 200 glory points, because you get like 2 to 4 glory points per session, maybe 5, 2 to 4 depending on what you're doing. And you get glory points based on winning in combat, but less so as you go, and more on conversion, planting churches, that sort of thing, finding out the plots of things. So how does For the Lord RPG work? It's just like an OSR. There's a difficulty here. Let me just pull out the character sheet. So this is my little messy scribbled character sheet I've been playing recently. Theodesred. But let me just show you. It's just kind of a mess. I'll just use it. Actually, that's really messy. Let me just use a blank sheet. Okay. Here's the character sheet. Defense is 12. Oh, let's see. It's actually prowess now. This is the older character sheet. Aggression is now prowess. But anyway, defense is just 12 plus 1 for, or plus whatever is an awareness. Now -1, well, that should be an 11, but he has a shield, so it's an 11 because it's -1, 11 plus 2 for shield, so 13. So he has a 13. Theodesred, my cleric, my lowly monk, is my actual character I've been playing recently, has a defense of 13. So you got to roll and hit a 13 to hit my character. And same type of damage, D6. Now I get an armor save of D6 now because I have leathers. And a D6 as you can see here, I improved it by 1 die rank. It was a D4. Leather starts off as well, D2 or D4. It was a D4, now it's a D6. That cost me 2 glory points to raise it up to a D6. And why can I do that? Why can I make leather armor match plate mail by being D12? Because if I add more glory points and more glory points, I can improve this from D6 to D8 to D10 to D12. D12 being 5 glory points. But remember, it cost me all those glory points to get it up there. So the story behind that is that you can literally raise up every one of these stats with die ranks. Even the damage of the weapons. See how it's a D8 there? That's 3. But if you go to D10, it's 4. It cost me 4 glory points. There I am, taking off glory points at the top here. I should have a better track. This is me being silly and desperate, and I need to update. Actually, we do it online now. So. But anyway, the reason I say that you can spend glory points and actually make your armor better is because I've noticed this with my own armor. It got better and better as I spent more and more time with it, adjusting it, fitting it, finding the weak points. There's constantly not just repairing and maintenance, but also making parts better and making it fit better. And it's not moving right here, blah, blah, blah. And when you get armor that's fitted really well and works well with your body, it really is amazing, becomes even better armor. So I've experienced that in medieval armored fighting. I also, the shield and the helmet are actually go into the defense and not into armor save. The reason being, I noticed that my helmet I use as like a shield. I let people hit me in the head because it's such a solid head. The helmet's so solid. And I use it to block off their from hitting me in the body kind of thing. Anyway, whatever. But that goes to defense because it's a deflective thing, whereas armor takes the blow and you feel it in your body. And so that's when you take damage or take vitality. And this is vitality. And vitality is very similar to OSRs. It's very low. You don't go to 80, 90 hit points. In order to raise up vitality, you divide it by 4, and that's how many glory points it costs. So right now it costs me 2, right? 2 is 8, yeah, because it's only 11. So 2, it would cost me 2 glory points to roll a D6 because I'm a man. A woman only get a D4 because they're weaker. And then I would get that. Now, obviously, once I get above 12 and up, it costs me 3 glory points. And then once I get to 16 and up, it costs me 4. And then 20 and up is 5. It costs more and more glory points each time. And you only get a D6, and you only get you don't get to reroll. Just if you roll a 1, that's what you get. So that's fun. And this obviously you get your prowess now. 3, or it could be awareness if you have something light like a dagger, or for archery. And those are the 2 ability scores basically that you use. Secrecy let me go back to this row. So to hit is your prowess plus die ranks, right? So it looks like I got a 3 plus D6, so that's 2 die ranks. So I would roll every time I swing now. I would roll these 2 plus my 3 aggression or prowess. So I'd roll this. Ooh, 20. Whatever. But this is what I would roll. And I could get extra. I could improve this. Maybe I get a better mace, like plus 1 die rank mace. Blah blah blah. Or maybe I get some blessings. I do have my own blessings here that will improve it as well. Also, I have a D10 damage because I improved that with my glory points that I've spent. But and that's a D10. Now, if I can go above D10, I can go to D12. And you don't use a D20 for damage. And what if I could go D12. Now that would cost me 6 glory points to get that upgrade. Now, why would I want to do that? That seems kind of expensive. I think I would stop at D12. Most players would. But if they're kind of crazy and silly and really finessing that weapon master or whatever, you could go like this, and it can matter. I mean, I could roll a 4 here. I could obviously roll a 1 here and a 4 there, and then take the 4, right? But what if you naturally get, you spend it, and then you get this for mace, and you get to pick the highest. So I get a 10. So what is that? Why do I do that? Why do I even allow that you can actually make a hammer's damage be similar to a great sword? Because I've noticed that in medieval armored combat, that the better you train yourself, the better you are. The weapon doesn't matter as much as the training and perseverance of the individual wielding that weapon. So to hit and damage to me are 2 different things. To hit to me has to do with like maybe you swing once or twice or 3 times, and accuracy. But damage has to do with that extra little that extra little power you put into it to cause more, more pain and suffering and breakage. So that's why I allow that, or I believe that's part of the game as well. There's a lot more to it. There's grievous wounds. So if I roll a nat 20, you could do grievous wounds, which are permanent penalties to a person's body until they can heal that up. And that's, that's just another discussion, but I'm just kind of going over the basics. But that's grievous wounds is really fun. I mean, this guy got gnarly grievous wounds. And one thing, he sacrifices shields. That's a cool little option as well. So there's like a lot of little options in the weapons and armor to save you, and you can do parry and bleed, and there's a bleed option there for. So if I do 6 points of damage on someone after their armor save, they get a bleed once per round. They bleed, and then if I and that's cumulative. So if I do it another round and do the same thing, so it's pretty deadly. It's deadly within once you get a couple of good hits, and it's this game. The melees are deadly. The fighting. Okay, so this is my Dark Ages book. Let's do this. I'm really trying to get us to understand true fantasy, true medieval history, better than D&D, better than Lost Realms or even Lord of the Rings, because the reason there's white supremacy. Let me get into that. The reason there's white supremacy isn't because of the color of our skin. It's because the church is only survived in white Europe. The church was wiped out in Africa and the Middle East by Islam and only survived in the Caucasian areas of Europe. And so that's why there's white supremacy, because of the church. And we're ignoring that. We're forgetting that. We're rewriting history to remove Jesus Christ. I mean, from all these historical shows, medieval shows, fantasy, think about it. Fantasy has elves, dwarves, gnomes, giants, goblins. Those all are pagan religions of medieval Europe. They all came from there, but guess who documented them and turned them into fun stories? Christians. Because we didn't fear them. We didn't fear those evil elves cursing our homes, those house spirits or forest spirits. We're not afraid of these stupid pagan things. So we created fun stories out of them. Christians created fantasy. Pagans are not going to create fantasy because pagans actually use it in their rituals and in their manipulations and in their control of people. And so that's the frustrating thing I find about Christians. Pagans today have glammed on, co-opted fantasy as their little religious tool to get us to just believe in that and forget about Jesus Christ. If a pagan can just get us to forget about Jesus Christ, then that's their goal. That's it. Just have fun. Have fun. Play a game. You don't need politics and religion. What they mean is you don't need Christianity, because they're going to bring in plenty of politics and religion. Their religion, paganism, fantasy. But again, we Christians created fantasy. We documented, the Brothers Grimm went around documenting all the pagan stories. All these pagan stories were about warnings and to scare children and do spiritual things. But the Grimm brothers went around and documented them as stories. And then we Christians kind of laughed and enjoyed it. Same with Greek mythology. Greek mythology was documented by Christians as just such stories. We didn't care about their, the fear of it or whatever. So that's my take on that. This is just to explain a little bit about church, a little bit about what you can do, what sort of things are going on in the church, and you can incorporate it into the game. Here is some village and town activity you can roll if you want to create little areas that they go and encounter. These are digital things that I'm making that are accessible on my, or digitally. You can download these and just plop them in your maps if you want. This is different areas that you can kind of do things. And it just kind of explains to like what they might be doing, what their attitude is. It gives you little plot ideas. And the reason I broke all this out is because I guess playing a Christian RPG is a new territory, new. And I don't mean Christian allegory. I don't mean Christian symbolism. I mean explicitly Christian, because evangelism and church planning is what it's all about. And look, you can have the same adventures as you do in these D&D and fantasy things. I mean, you just got to take out orcs and fantasy dragons and put in real dragons and real Mongols and pagan cult warriors. You really just replace. Fantasy has kind of removed the. It's just trying to like if I feel like all it's doing is trying to erase Jesus Christ. It's just trying to erase Christianity. And anything that looks like it's going to get too close to European medieval history, they want to just dilute that out as much as they can because they don't want us to get any kind of Christian church thing going on in there. And I'm just trying to get you guys to realize that you can do the same fun adventures with with absolute Christian evangelism, planning churches, and then having all these crazy monsters and beasts that you can fight, and a bear, a feral, demonic possessed bear or dragon, which are these dinosaurs, is more frightening to me when you only have 18 hit points, in your armor save, and you got to deal with this thing that's going to crunch you. This is just as dangerous as ancient red dragon or that, the Lich, Vecna with all its great powers. I'm sorry, but a little dart poisoned by a witch is just as deadly as Vecna and his eternal powers of death, otherworldliness, And I just kind of roll my eyes now at all those huge horned demonic things that they do. It's like a freaking bear can do the exact same thing that these stupid demons can do. I just, yeah. So it's frightening to go up against man that wants to viciously enslave and kill you and take your family and kidnap them and sacrifice them. That to me is way more frightening than giant bugbears. I don't know, whatever. And there are giants, by the way. We have giants. You can have, large, to me, a 10-foot tall, angry human is pretty freaking scary. Mongrel, autistic or whatever, retarded. We got to bring retarded back. Kind of a cannibalistic, violent giant, 10 feet tall. That to me is way more frightening than a 24-foot tall giant. To me is just absurd. Just feels absurd to me. Yeah, I mean it is. I even got Siamese twins in here, and these are all like prehistoric gorilla demon things. Let's have fun with some sort of prehistoric giant centipede looking things. And I did like the King Kong bloodworms, like scary the island Kong Skull Island type of thing, and actual demons is fine with me. You can use those in your games, and this whole thing is about making catacombs, doing a dungeon crawl experience. It's just some roles here that you can create your own small little dungeon if you want. And I have on my website, where you can do modular dungeons and just set up whatever little dungeon you want, kind of a thing, with props and stuff. And I have ways of making just simple traps. Because if you think about it too, for traps, for curses, even for blessings, you really are just looking at ways to up and down these stats. So if you wanted to make a witch have a curse, she could curse. Obviously she could cause damage. She could curse their awareness temporarily. You don't want to take away permanently, but like make it -4 for a while, until they reduce that down. The main penalties. I'm going to get off penalties, but the main way you get a grievous wound or penalty is like, a character can be at -1 die rank, -2 die ranks, -3 die ranks, -5 maximum for grievous wounds, but it can be combined with like stun or paralysis, so you could get above -5. But if they did have a -5 die rank penalty to their rolls because they're wounded and stunned or poisoned or whatever, they don't need to roll anything with it. Okay, the GM, you take that -5 die ranks, which is obviously a D12. A D12. Yeah, okay, they have a wound of D12 or -5 die ranks. You roll and get a 1, and that 1 will be added to their, let's say, what they're trying to hit, or maybe what they're trying to climb, or what they're trying to do. You just kind of keep rolling that D12 because they still have that -5 die ranks penalty, and you get to add it to the difficulty of whatever they're trying to do. So that's the simplest way of applying penalties that they have incurred because of wounds or poison or disease or whatever. And it makes it easier on them so that they just play their character. And yes, they know they're wounded, they got to deal with it, but you as a GM will deal with the mechanics of it. But also with blessings, all the blessings have to do with giving bonuses to swing, a little bit to damage. I keep that minimal, but like the paladin has glory, so it can add to the damage. Their damage does not get prowess added to it, just the straight roll. But again, they can get glory, especially the paladin, to add to the damage. And then there's a few other things, but most of them will be to hit. They might get, I don't know if I have any armor. Yeah, they get, well, they get added to defense, protection blessing. So stuff like that, that if you think about the blessings, the curses, and the magic in this game, and I leave, by the way, the pagan magic up to you, sort of open, so you can create whatever you want. But you got to look at it this way: how do you penalize or bonus this stuff? And that's sort of the simplistic way of looking at it. I mean, that's really the way all of them are in D&D. They can have 34, 40 pages of spells, but they all have to do this, affect this somehow. And whether it's stun or paralysis or killing or blinding, it's got to penalize these stats basically. And actually, it's only these stats right here. So that's this, the basics of doing blessings. They really, and skills and stuff, is they all have to just basically do this. And so in this game, you decide a difficulty for anything, for climbing, for hitting. The difficulty is 12 by default. If you don't know what it is, just say 12. If you think it's a little hard, here's the thing. If you think something's kind of hard, all I do is I can just, okay, what's your armor save? Is a D6. All right, I'm going to roll a D6. To climb that wall is 12 plus 13 for you because of your armor you're wearing. So 13. I have plate mail. Oh, that's a D12. Okay. To climb that wall for you. Wow. It's the same thing. 13. So it's really not that difficult a wall to climb. It's actually just a very stony, lots of grips. Y'all both can do it. Just beat a 13. And by the way, here's another thing. I'm going into die rank results. So let's say it's a 13 to climb that wall. Okay. Let me just move this down. Yeah, I'll leave it there. 13 to climb the wall. Okay, so they're going to roll a d12. Do they have any climbing skills? Well, my character doesn't. Nope. So let's just say it's my character. I have a prowess of 3, so I'm going to add a 3 to it. So that's all I got. But I'm going to bless. Do I have a blessing? No, I don't have a blessing. I got protection. I don't even have an inspired die. Darn it. Let's just say I have 1 inspired die. That's like inspiration points. I get them and I spend them. So I'm going to get, let's just say I have 1. Okay, just to be nice. There, 1. D20, that, plus my 3 there for prowess. I got to be a 13. Oh, wow, 11. I did it by 1. 14. Okay. What I also like to do is something called die rank result. What's a die rank result? Die rank result is based on how well you succeed or fail, you actually can get extra bonuses or failures or whatever. Let's just stick with the bonus since I did it. I made a 14. So I beat it by 1 point. So since I beat it by 1 point, that's 1 die rank. I get 1 die rank. You get 1 die rank. Oh, what do I do with it? Well, what do you want to do with it? When you climb the wall? Well, there's a bad guy on the side. I want to fight him. All right, you get an extra die rank to attack because well, since I'm on the wall, don't I get high ground? And you know what? You do. So I'm going to give you a 2nd die rank. So you could do that. So then the character's like, cool, I got this. And I've already got 2 die ranks. And you said I got 2 die ranks. So now I have a D4 to my attack. And I charge over the wall and I slam down and swing and roll this. And 14 plus 3 is 17. So I roll a 17 to hit, probably hit. So that's another way. Another thing I love about this game is that you get die rank results. And die rank results, you kind of, you should declare ahead of time what's going to happen, or not necessarily the result, but that they get a die rank result. Because sometimes if you want the game to flow quickly, you can just say yes or no, like succeed or fail, and that's fine. But sometimes I like to have fun with it and include die rank results, which is what I just did there. That depending on how high he went over it, he would get an extra bonus for it. But let's just say I fail. Let's just say I don't get the inspired die. I got to climb another wall. Okay, let's say there's another wall. Okay, coming up, a second wall. You kill that guy. You're moving on. There's another wall. It's a little higher, maybe. Yes, it's 12 plus 3, 15. 15. No inspired die left. You got to climb that wall now, and there's a bad guy on the other side. Oh boy, I'm gonna do it because I got to get him. He's gonna get away or whatever. So 5 plus 3 is 8. 8, and I needed a 13, so I failed by 8 and 13 is 5. 5, half of that is 2 die ranks. I failed by this much. 2 die ranks. So what does that mean? I rolled a 5. I don't think you made it. You didn't make it over because 5 is really low. Wasn't even close. And you take 3 exhaustion points. Or I could say they made it over, but then I give this 2 die ranks bonus to the other guy to attack him first. So those are the fun little things that I can do in this game, and they're just fun. They're not arbitrary. They make sense. They're based off of the rolls. You get those sort of advantages and disadvantages based on your succeed or fail die ranks, and the die ranks, whether you succeed or fail by, is halved, and then that becomes die ranks. And those die ranks can translate to, they translate to dice, but then you can put them as a vitality drain, as a bonus to their next roll that they can add to their die ranks, as you damaged your tools or weapons. You get it as inspired die that you can give it to somebody else next to you for their roll, so they can climb over the wall. It's very selective in what you can do with it, or you can select. It's very optional. I love too in prophecies, they can roll this sort of roll and try to get prophecies. And let's say they roll and then get it above it by 6. So that's 3 die ranks. So through 3 yes or no questions. They could do that if they want it, or whatever the other options are. So that's the fun thing about die rank results. And die rank results has a lot to do with engineering and research and all that. That's my little thing about that. I know this is weird, but I'm going to do something else here. I have a campaign book for for the Dark Ages that I did. It's all on Amazon, by the way, or you can get it on my website as a PDF. But this has a bunch of adventures in it, a bunch of characters, all done by me. I drew everything, and so this is the region in Italy. It's an actual region. This is not historically accurate. I just had fun with it and did my own thing. But I created this sort of 6th century thing. There's even a Barrow Whites, kind of a haunted swamp. There's a town here and a village here with adventure, and you can go randomly roam around here in adventure. And there's Palorlezo adventure, and a dragon in the water, another dragon over here, wild beast boars here, a sorcerer, a witch, giants over here, dragons over here, more dragons and lizards, and witch coven over here with little villages and stuff. The merchants of Porlezo and their plots, the sorcerers of Bacchus and their plots, the witches of Magni are everywhere. The horned ones are over here. I wanted to create the dark dwellers and Huns living in the mountains, in the hillsides rather. I just wanted to give examples of things you could do. Oh, pagan or Christ-like. This is the conversion levels of the character. So I can roll this randomly and pick, what one. I hear a ringing sound. What is that ringing sound? I'm gonna pause this. Okay, a ringing noise. Okay, I hope this is what I was last talking about. Was this? So I like to roll this for NPCs, and this I have this chart kind of everywhere in all the books. But it's just the way for you to determine the NPCs and their motives, or and this is sort of like whatever the range of what you can have for pagans, the non-believers, and some are going to be close to being Christian, or not fully Christian, but ready to listen. Whereas violently evil, and violently evil doesn't mean they're going to outright just attack you, although they could if it's a bandit or whatever. But they could be like a storekeeper who hates you, and then when you leave, they're gonna call someone in to kill you, or they just, if not that they have to or will outright, but if you annoy them, kind of a thing. So that doesn't mean necessarily that they're, they run the area openly or with skullduggery. They will see ways to attack outsiders in ambush or thuggery, or if surprised. So this is sort of the range of what I like to roll for NPCs. Everyone, including townspeople, whatever. But little kids can be evil, violent evil. But and if they're bad, like cult warriors, I'll do 2d8 and pick the lowest. And I've rolled like a 7-8 on some villains that I want to be villains, and I'm like, oh man. But it's fun. It's fun to challenge yourself to make NPCs, this range. Generally, I roll a d8, but if I feel like they're in the evil realm, I will roll 2d8s and pick the lowest. And of course, 2d8s pick the highest for who I think should be better. This is an intro adventure here. It's a fun little thing to challenge the players. I love this one. And I try to keep it very simple, the text, because I want it to be like 2 pages for the specific adventures, and then you can just access those 2 pages. I think anyway, for the most part. I mean, I see like here's an uphill path. Here's the main mine with some stuff. I try to put all the creature stats and whatever you need right there at your fingertips. Very simple stuff. As far as the stats go, the prowess, awareness, salve, spirit, intellect, society. Defense is 11. Armor, robes, just explanation. So they get save 1, so they reduce 1 every time they get hit. Vigor is 6, which is hit points. Vitality, vigor, same thing. So this is their staff. -2 plus a d6, 2 DR. D6 damage, blunt, parry, +1 die ranks if they want to parry, but rarely do they. Dagger, -2, D6, bleed 4. Okay. Sorcery. Dagger, -2 to hit, but D6 for damage, and then bleed 4. If they do 4 damage on you, you gotta you start to bleed 1. And in order to stop the bleed, it takes 1 round for someone with medical surgery stuff, a difficulty of 12, to roll and just beat the 12, and then it'll stop the bleed. Okay. Very simple stuff like that. If they don't have medical, then roll, make it a 14 or 16, a little higher to stop the bleed. So here's the Lost Temple. This is a continuation of them after the mines, a little extra fun adventure with giant arachnoid prehistoric creatures in there, and maybe a little demon at the end. Intro to a demon. And everything's just explained in 2 pages, I hope. Stones of Ravio, another adventure with pertinent stuff in this foresty open area there. Slave mines, and I just try to say what the mines, how they're set up, and what you can do in there, and what's going on. And Church of Saint Antonius Desecrated. This is a 2-day adventure, I would say, 2 sessions or whatever. But everything's right here for you to look at. Different options there, stuff. Whatever. I don't know. It's been a while. And I've played about half of these. They're all on YouTube and stuff. So, they never got to do this. Did this. I may have changed or improved things. Did they do this one? Church of Saint Antonius. I don't think they did this one. Or I haven't GM'd it. Bunch of cool different undead, the infected and the undead, 2 different ones in there. Did this whole adventure. Secret Christians, villagers, secret Christians, And the point is, you go in, you find the villains, you deal with the villains, you deal with the, people who are too afraid to come out, the villagers, and, the maybe a weak brother living there, and you plant the church, and it's just such wonderful role playing to go in. You don't just go in and save the village and fight the dragon and save the village. You go in and convert the village and get them to realize the truth of the Lord, as well as fight the dragon. You get way more. And it's not just about getting gold and getting upgrades. It's about you role playing evangelism and practicing and having fun with that. Oh my God, that beeping sound. I don't know what's going on. Who's doing what? Must be doing a burglar alarm or whatever. Anyway, here's another. Oh, this is the underground cavern with the scary rat beasts and then horned ones. Hidden. This is an example of your GM map and then what the players see when they go there. Oh man, I didn't take out the text. Oops. Should have taken out the text, but pretend there's no text there. I'm going to leave it in there as a fun mistake in my print. More creatures and stuff there for the barrow mounds. Here's a continuation of the barrow mounds and the specific island, barrow island mound, rocky barrow, hillside barrow, with stuff in each one. Fun little dungeon in each one. Poor Lazo. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. Then more creatures in the back. Actually, I do want to get to more creatures and more fun stuff. More couple of extra rules, treasures, Lost Temple ruin theme. Here's a random creature encounter, bestial names, bestial idol names. So what do the people call these beasts? Let's roll it right now for the fun of it. Where's my dice? Where's my dice? Books. These. All right, let's start with this here. 19. Min 17. Mod Minmadio. Minmadio. Let's roll it. D12. Minmadio. They call it Minmadio, number 1. Natural creature. Okay. Funny. Lame. 2. Wolves. Okay. The Minmadio. The Minmadio. Come in the night and blah, blah, blah. Okay, what do they do? Lair situation. They worship these wolves. 2. Roaming around, searching for food, marking territory, exploring something that has caught their attention, distracted. Okay, so they got these wolves that they worship. That come through the area. They call them Minmadios. I don't know why, but there you go. Let me, just for the fun of it, try to roll a higher, scarier one. A 1 again, really? Let me do 5. Primordial flightless bird, Tromos, described as a dragon or demon, is terrorizing locals on the outskirts. Okay, like a giant, primordial bird. So let's do bestial name using this chart. The second one. 10. Our first one. Man, 14. Bat. Ooh, man bat. 17. Man bata. Yeah, so you can see some sort of primordial bat creature, giant humanoid bats flying in the night that they're afraid of. And you can obviously create your own creature like that, create some cool things about it. And here's some fun things you could do, like names of the cults or whatever. Here, let's just say they manbatats. I can obviously mix it around. Manbatats. Whatever, manbatats. And let's roll for the cult. Roll a d4 for how many words. Guess the 4. Ooh, I rolled a 4 there. You see that? Okay, I did roll a 4. Add one more word and roll again. Oof, man. Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wait, I can't do that many rolls. Let me just stop there. Okay. I don't even know how many rolls that is. So that's 4, 5, 6, 6 words. Fine, let's do it. 6 words. First word. Oops, I gotta roll a d6. All right, I do it. First word. 6, 12. 12. Leaf, stern, root. Okay. 2, 8. Man, this is ridiculous. 2, 8. Bear. Rooted bear. 1, 8. Goblin. Rooted bear gob. Lost. Rooted bear rooted bear. Lost goblin. 4. Fang of the 415. Of the tooth of the fang. Vengeance. Revenge. Lost bear. Right? What did I say? Of the lost bear of the goblin. Something. Anyway, you can come up with a lost bear of the goblin fang vengeance thing. So you come up with a cult name somehow. Figure it out. All right. That's that. I'm going to move on to APOC. I'm just babbling. This is going to be a long video. What is it now? Whoa. Okay, some weird dog yelped at my dog. Puzzles of the APOC. What's different about this one? Vehicle combat! Yeah! You know what's cool about vehicle combat in my game is that it's right in with the humans. Like the humans and the players and the combat and the vehicles are all in the same turns and same. You can take damage sitting in the truck, and you can shoot out of the truck. It's great. It's just great. I don't even want to talk about it. I just want to sit here and handling. So what is handling in this game? When you're the driver of the vehicle, you roll your handling or driving, whatever, and you add the 2 die ranks because it has really good. This one here, Roadster, has really good handling, so it gets a +2 die ranks. What does that mean? Let me explain. Let's say you got a character who's got, now you use awareness for driving, piloting, whatever. So let's just say that they got this much, 5 die ranks of driving. D20 plus their awareness of +4. So it's ace driver, right? So, but then they got 2 die ranks here. Okay, so you get to add another 2 die ranks. Now, adding another 2 die ranks, I'm not adding this. I'm kind of tricky here. I'm combining it. So because it's 5, okay, let me make this a little more understandable. Let's just say it's 4. I get 4 die ranks. This right here, 4 die ranks. I want to explain it to you because if I use this one, it's confusing. You'll understand here in a second. So this is my skill. I have 2 die ranks. Let's say I have 3 die ranks. 4 die ranks of driving skill. 4 die ranks. I've spent the money, bought 4 die ranks. I really want to be a good driver. 4 die ranks plus my +4 for my trait awareness, and obviously roll a d20. So this is what you're gonna roll. But stop. What? You got 2 die ranks for your vehicle there. Oh yeah, 2 die ranks. Okay, what is that? So 4 here goes to 6. You got 6 die ranks now. So 6 die ranks is 5 and a 1. You get that? So it's 6. This is 6 die ranks, 5 and a 1. Okay, because remember this is 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The reason I didn't want to do this and this is because you might think that, oh, I'm just adding this. No. You gotta recalculate the die ranks and then take from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 5 and then because it's 6 die ranks, right? So 4 for me and 2 for the road. So there's my thing. And I say yes, you're racing against another bad guy who's got a vehicle, right? You're racing and crashing around each other and shooting at each other. And you got your partner, your other players that got guns and they're sitting in the car shooting at that car, and that car's got bad guys shooting at you. So let's have a roll. So the first roll is going to be your driving. Okay, 7 and 10, 17 plus 4 is 21. You rolled a 21. So I'm going to say the villain rolled a. Let's do the villain just for the fun. I'm pretend. So I'm the GM. He's got 2 die ranks and it rolls through 2 die ranks. So he's got this right here. He's got 2 die ranks plus 2 die ranks here, and he's only got a +2 awareness. 12. So I rolled a 12, right? 10 plus his 2 for awareness. 12, and I rolled a 21. Right? 21, 12. Let's roll this. So the difference is 9, right? 12 and 21. Difference is 9. After that is 4. 4 die ranks. So you beat them, and you get 4 die ranks. What does that mean? That's a die rank result. The 4 die ranks can now be used however you want. You can add it to your defense of the vehicle. So when they're shooting at you, you can add it, roll the D10 and add this to your defense, right? 3. So you have now 14 plus 3, 17 defense. So all of them shooting at you, you get 17 defense. Or you could give the 4 die ranks to the other players who shoot. You can give 1 to this guy, 2 to that guy, and one to the other guy, and they can add it to their shooting. That's what's so fun about this game. And that they all work in tandem like that, all the characters. In the driving and the fighting and stuff. So that's really a fun thing there. And the defense is the same similarities to humans. Most vehicles will have a D12 armor save because they're metal. But once you get through that, you start hitting the hull. And here's the fun part. If you get through the armor, you roll randomly on the parts of the vehicle. Down here, parts D6. 6 parts. So fuel tank, engine, control, drive, crew, and gunner. And every part has a 4 hull. So whatever you do damage to, if it goes down to 0, that's out. Fuel tank, out. You're running out of fuel. I give them like a round or 2 before the fuel runs out. Engine, boom. I would run down the vehicle per turn until it's, out. Whatever narratively I would do that. Control, anything that you take out of here can take out this vehicle. So that's and crew basically means you get through the door, the passengers, and any damage beyond that goes to the players. They take the damage. So there's that fun thing about these vehicles. And with spaceships, there's even more parts, for the ship. So there's that. Really a lot of fun playing combat. Vehicle armaments. There you go. And they do more damage. A little bit more damage. I kept it kind of minimal, but a little more damage. But they do get auto fire is so much fun. Because what auto fire does, especially like machine guns and stuff, is that you shoot skills at one of the rolls, and then the next 2 rolls are just d20 rolls, and so it's quick. You aren't doing a bunch of different whatever things. They're just bop, 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 just fun, quick. See if you can get some extra damage, and they come in handy, man. Those auto rolls, that's a lot of fun. So here, crafting, engineering, upgrading. This is where you really delve into finding a bunch of scrap and then building stuff. And again, this is really meant for like, which I don't have, people playing together, regularly, week after week after week. So it's kind of, super nerdy in that sense. I'm at a new church now because I've joined a smaller church. I was at a bigger church. I joined a smaller church and closer to me. And doctrinally the same as my bigger church, because the pastor came from that seminary, the bigger church. Anyway, I'm trying to set up a game there, but I'm doing other things there, and I'm getting situated, and I just became a member, and I'm helping volunteer for some stuff, so I'm really enjoying it. But I do want to get a game going there regularly sometime soon, so I'm looking forward to that. But I gotta sort of pay my dues and just get comfortable there, and there's so few people there. It's a small church, so I'm trying to build that up. But everyone knows there that I want to start a game there. I just haven't gotten around to figuring that out yet. So at the back of my APOC game is a whole thing. I was on evangelizing pagans, church planning, and you get the whole plant churches and create these sort of fortresses of help for you, and they have their own little storyline that you can do, the GM, if they want, where they get their defenses, and they get like defenses and hit points, and then when they get down on the hit points, they need help, they call for help, and you got to go help them. And there's a little story, you can start a new plot line there, but if they're strong there, then they can actually help the players and send them stuff. And there's sort of like a little table on that. There's a conversion level table again there. This talks about witches and sorcerers and what kind of powers how you can create powers for them and stuff. So where's the hex map? But there's a hex map thing here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. And this hex map is a way of making the world around you. So they start off in their home in the bunker in the mountains, and they start to explore the hexes and expand outward. And you, as a GM, roll randomly as they go out. And here's your little charts here, and there's even an extra chart at the back, I think, a secondary chart. Yep. Is it? I think it is. Let's see, there's reference pages back here. And then I think there's another secondary chart. Yeah. For more. But go through this one first. But there is a trigger at some point past the first circles that if you hit ruins, you could get trigger of the empire. And that's sort of like the end game, where you're going to start fighting a big tribe that you got to deal with, mutants or whatever, bad guys. But initially it's like random stuff, so you can build up and find treasures. Treasures being low tech, high tech, and low tech and high tech are just basically I find 10 low tech, I find 12 high tech, I find things like, and then they can use those to start building things and researching and upgrading and all that in here. I don't know why I went so crazy with the epic sort of campaign. I could have just done like a simple adventure, dungeon crawl, evangelism, church planning. But I remembered all this stuff from my good old days of sitting around for 8 to 10 hour epic things, and I just wanted to include everything. You don't have to do all this stuff in these games. You can keep it really simple, and I have here at the back here is I just set up a bunch of fun 2-page adventure maps, with where that you can kind of. So this is this basic plot, and then this is the bad guys, and you can kind of roll the conversion levels and decide for yourself on all that, and have a little setup of your own, or use this one just as an example. Dungeons and Dinosaurs is one here, and just kind of a little setup of different things in there that they're going to encounter, and that's what each of these is. These are each 1-page adventures, kind of ideas or adventures. Bogland Ambush. So that's what these all are. These are all just different type, examples of adventures, and these are all based off of rolls I did on this prep thing here. And this is a guide, right? You roll these out to help guide you come up with something, So and you can obviously tweak it however you want, But that's what these all are. and they all have creatures and stuff. Oh, and this is the empire building guide. So once you get an empire going, I think that's, you know, I haven't done a campaign with this yet. I really would like to as my next thing. We're finishing up Christmas Space. We've done 3 seasons, and we're gonna start on a 4th on January, and I plan on that being the final season. But the final season in the sense of we're done with sort of a linear campaign, and then once in a while we can do one shots where they go off just to specific locations or missions or planets. That we'll just have fun with that once in a while kind of a thing. And here's like making character names and just stuff. So I really would like to do a kind of an epic Apostles of the Apoc campaign and see if they can go up against the Empire and defeat it, and recreate the New Earth, not biblical New Earth, but the post-apocalyptic Earth society. This is based in 2300 AD or 2200. Anyway, Christians in Space. All right, let's go through this timeline. And by the way, this is the clearing call for contributors. So it's kind of like an open license type of thing. And I'm not worried about this stuff being stolen. The idea you can't copyright game mechanics, so whatever there. But the timeline I could copyright. Where is my timeline? But I'm not going to, because this timeline only works for Christians. So I want more Christians to do things. So if you steal my timeline idea, fine, because it only works for Christians. It's meant for Christians. Let me find it. Where? I thought I had the beginning. I had the beginning in the original draft. I think I moved it to the guide area back here. Let me go. It's probably in the back. See, transport spaceships, how space travel works, and yes, it's all 6,000 years old. Yep, the Empire's only 6,000. Ooh, where's my timeline? It's right here. Vehicle and space combat. Look at that. I got everything covered, man. The One Galactic Empire. Culture of the Galaxy. Where the heck is my timeline? Where did I put it? I've redrafted this thing so many times. I guess I should look at my index. Okay. Did I take it out? Timeline 46. Page 46. I hope I got that right. Okay, yeah, wow, I did do it right. What do you know? Here's the timeline. Now, do you want to steal this ideas? Feel free. But the only way it matters if you're a Christian. Pagans don't need this. Pagans can't use this anyway, because pagans believe in millions and millions of years and evolution. They all believe in evolution, so just like the Hindus. And this only works for Christians anyway. So the 6th century is the Dark Ages setting. 7th to 21st century is obviously now. Modern day setup 2100 AD is kind of a cyberpunky type of thing. Explaining all that. Post-apocalyptic is the one I did, 2300 AD. I think Gamma World, Zombie Apocalypse, Crazy Mutant World. So what happens is the atheists take over the world, and the Islamo-Marxists and Christians are put into work camps, and then they, of course, fail at their whatever they're doing, and so they want to destroy the Earth, and they discover translight drive, meaning they can actually travel to planets and not lose time. It's a creation science thing. So they can actually go to other planets very quickly because of the not lose time theory of relativity sort of thing. Anyway, whatever. But they go there, take a couple of weeks, super light travel, translight drive, whatever, and they nuke the Earth, and they abandon the Earth and nuke it. They leave all the poor people, and it's a whole cyberpunk kind of timeline if you ever wanted to do that. I'm not going to do it, but if you ever want to do one, here's an explanation of how you could do it and be Christian and biblical and all that. So 2300 AD is the post-apocalyptic, where the Christians are in those work camps and they survived. What do you know? And so they come back out and try to rebuild the Earth, which they do, and they Christianize it. That's up to you if you role play out and beat all the little empires that are scattered around and re-Christianize the Earth. After that, 2420 AD, that was pretty specific. The Earth has become sort of this new sort of 1950s, U.S. Army, 1950s patriotic Christian alternate history kind of thing. But in that sort of low tech world, and that's where you can do an alien invasion RPG if you wanted, like a classic Mars Attacks or something, sort of thing, because they get attacked, and they don't know what it is, And so think XCOM, Mars Attacks, think XCOM, Mars Attacks, Terminator, any alien invasion genre. And so what I'm doing too is I'm stealing all these genres. Stealing. I'm literally stealing them because they stole from us. They stole our fantasy, our science fiction. They stole everything, our science. We created the scientific method. They stole it. The atheists, the pagans, they stole everything. So I'm stealing it back. Anyway, I'm also stealing goth back because goth was created under Christian culture. So, okay. So, 2450 AD, do all this like alien invasion stuff. What it is the prodigals. They call themselves the prodigals. And it's basically the atheists who left the earth come back to hide in Earth because the atheist empire has erased all the sort of data on Earth, and so these prodigals are actually a faction of the atheist empire who are fleeing because they hate the atheism, but they're coming back to Earth to try to destroy, take it over and bring their atheism, their new and better atheism and communism, Marxism to Earth. But the Christians fight back, and at first it's very horrifying because it's an alien invasion and loss of faith because they think it's real aliens and all that kind of thing. But then the Christian war ethos of chivalry return, and the Star Crusaders is born, and they fight the prodigals, and they discover that they really are the atheists that they're just the atheists from before, and so that's the whole cool alien invasion RPG, which I haven't done, but you can do. But it's still my idea. I don't mind. But evangelism, Christian church planning, all that is required in this. Okay, if you're gonna steal from me, make sure you have alien Christian evangelism and church planning. Then we're at sci-fi horrors after they discover all this. Like think Aliens, Mothership, Destined Space, Doom, scary sci-fi movies. So this is the you can do a thing where they're retaking the solar system from the prodigals who left all these ancient, not ancient, but you know what I mean. These bases out there with all this scary sci-fi technology of aliens and robots, killer alien genetics and all that. Anyway, they eventually kind of win there, and then now 2500 AD they're going into space to Christians are to now go and evangelize all the atheists from the couple hundred years back. Atheists. So that's the timeline. And feel free to pause this and copy this and make your own Christian RPG if you want. But again, you have to have evangelism and church planning. Okay, please, for God's sake, we need Christians to become Christians again. Okay, the debriefing, this is my Christian space game. This is about spaceships. It's about, you can do exploration because there's a whole, there's a section here where you can roll out planets and what they all are doing or dealing with. Planet prep examples, and then there's a planet rolling here. Yeah, planetary preparatory, which is making a planet and whatever's on it and whatever corporation or empire or bandits or space pirates or whatever, and their technology level. It's very Star Warsy in the sense of or Star Wars, or you could do Battlestar Galactica, you could do Star Trek, you could do what's that one? The cool one, Serenity. What was the show called? Serenity. Was it Serenity? Anyway, that one. The sci-fi cool frontier kind of thing. Again, sorcerers, fumble tables, weapons and armaments. What is all the reference stuff? And I'm telling you, this works, man. This really works. You got Star Crusaders, clergy, pastor. These have come in handy. I've been told. Women evangelists, medical doctor, pilot, driver, technician. This is kind of the basic characters and what they have. What? Oh, I had to fix these. Somebody, it's funny. Some player noticed I have awareness +3, but I didn't update it down here. I had +2, so there's that. I don't know if I ever fixed it or not. Oh man, I had a check mark. Maybe I did fix it. On the Amazon prints. But anyway. And real quick to end this off, I created an entire, a sector of space with all kinds of adventures, and these are all. This sector and this sector are all part of this galactic map where Earth is down here, but this whole thing is a ton of adventure in here. All kinds of cool stuff. You got you got all kinds of crazy races in there. Biodreads, Dreadbots, Decanoids, and yes, you can have aliens. And my aliens make way more sense than Star Wars or Star Trek because they're genetically modified human beings, basically. Genetics, crabmen, whatever. What other ones are there? Crabmen, ogrins, or ogrigs, or whatever I call them. Ogrigs. You got some mutants and weirdo looking Jawa looking things. You got there's my bio dreads. You got these guys, Muogs, the Muogs, Frogmen, corporation stuff here, and everything's kind of in a few pages. I try to make it mutant marauders. Look at that. This is all for you, man. Oh, you got these space slugs. Everything's genetically modified. They're all in this freighter, floating dead ship floating in space. You got this. It's like Tatooine. You got this. What's it called? Raptorine. A couple of settlements. Reptilians. Wolf. That's the star. Wolf 1061. Raptorines. Then you got the Siftins. That's a species. Cool stuff. This is such a cool planet. I like that they have this. Every planet is terraformed, right? Terraformed. So they have these pipes running around on this one planet because it's a desert, Raptorine. I've got Dominators, dude. Dominators. Not Inquisitors, like stupid Star Wars. I got Dominators. That's right. They act like, yep, the whole Empire, with some cool stuff. Now, I don't really delve into the Empire in this campaign because you're doing like the rim, outer rim kind of thing, Planet Solakwa. There's a little bit of the Empire in it, but mostly it's criminals and space pirates and that kind of enslavers and corporations that are sort of outside the Empires and mutant marauders and bio dreads. And by the way, the Empire fears every faction fears every other faction because of RV world. I have no idea what that means. Rigged vessels. Hulk horrors. Look what I got there. Am I stealing from Warhammer 40k? Yes, I am. Dread Hulks. Okay, not space Hulks. Dread Hulks. This is a Hulk spaceship in space, but potential for some really good treasures. Look at these guys. The Salachi. I did not get to roleplay these yet. Look at this. Look at Tuskens and Dinogs. We have campaigned through all this. They haven't got to here yet. Hoping they'll get to here soon. Or here. I'm really kind of excited about getting in there. That's just, they've gotten this far. Yeah. Ooh, they did this one. Yeah. And they've been to Hydra Scoop many times. This is their favorite. They planted a church here, dudes. They planted a church in Hydra Scoop. Extra little room here. Hydra Scoop. They now, everyone there is either converted or sort of converted. How's that, woke folks? They converted the space pirates. So, yeah. Bunch of gear stuff. Making a city segment. Haven't done that. Here's the intro to Star Crusaders. They did get to do that. That was fun. I did like a one-off game where they got to actually play Star Crusaders, like getting attacked by some dreadbots. Got some mysterious stuff here at the end. Oh, here's the Empire. Little Imperial Fleet intro. And this is their spaceship. Oh, I didn't talk about the spaceships, right? So the space is kind of small, but the spaceships are battle maps. So you're literally playing in the spaceship. And you're literally fighting and shooting. And, I forgot to do just a quick spaceship combat thing. I love the spaceship combat in this. Because they run around the ship, getting to their guns, shooting. If something's damaged, they can go run around and fix it during combat. Quick fix kind of thing. They had some dreadbots board their ship. They've had to board other ships. It's been great. It's been just awesome. I'm trying to find the spaceship page just to show you spaceship. I think I passed it. Yeah. Oh, this is. I was there, but sir. Let me go to the front. Where the players. You start off with a transport. In the game, you're missionaries, and you're going off into space to. Where do I have this? Where do I have the transport? Who wrote this mess? Here's all the different character classes and the stuff and supplies. You get supplies. Here's the different character options or examples. Okay, here's your spaceship. And you get a transport and you get a robot. Tempe, the servo bot, and here's your spaceship. So you're running around. So if you get shot, you see you got the handling there. They also got comms. Comms is communications, and you got a comms person and you got a pilot. You got and the comms, same thing. You roll really high. If you beat the other person, you get bonuses to add to late targeting, defense, shields, kind of a thing. And then this is the if they hit you, you roll where they hit you and then what gets damaged. You know, you got a defense 12, you got a armor save of D12, and the hull of 6. So they got and the 6 hit points is the same as like human hit points. I mean, if you do 6 points of damage to a compartment, it's destroyed. Not utterly destroyed, but like, you know, at 0 and you got to repair it and all that stuff. But it is compromised as far as vacuum space and stuff. Anyway, it's just anyway, I had a lot of great fun with this. But it's a Christian role playing game. You know, 95% of this is regular role playing game. 5% is actually the most awesome, and it's its own 100%, which is evangelism, church planning, in space, in the apocalypse, post-apocalyptic world, and in the Dark Ages. And I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, and a lot of money. I enjoyed every bit of it. It actually taught me a lot. It taught me to go to a church and really serve that church, and do street evangelism, and do all the other things that you want to do as a Christian. This game has really given me that psyche to do that, to want to be a Christian, to want to do Christian things. That's what I got out of making this game, playing the game, and GMing this game. So that's, you know, I'm just going to keep preaching that, I guess, in my channel, about all these books. But these are all on Amazon, and I love just having them sit here, and I use them. You know, I obviously have the PDF, or I use the my InDesign document, but I should just use the book, which I really only use the book. What's funny is the only thing I really need to access at this point is the Nat one Fumble because the die ranks and the die rank system is very intuitive, and so I don't need a chart or anything. Although the other charts I do like to have is like treasure salvage charts, things like that. I guess the stats for the creatures, you know, they're pretty accessible because they're based on the area. But I should teach myself. I should definitely not open the InDesign doc anymore. I should either use the book or use the PDF. That way I can get a sense of, you know, what you as a player or GM would use as well. But I try to keep that PDFs, digital assets, and this all like nearby so that I can use them. But anyway, so that's my For the Lord RPG. Blah 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 blah. I only talked for an hour and 17 minutes. Wow. You know, I thought I was killing here. 2 or 3 hours of just you know, just talking about this game and how much I enjoy it. So I can't go back to any other game. I don't want to play Star Wars RPG. I don't want to play 5e. I don't want to do Shadow Dark, or I don't want to do any other pagan game or Mork War. They look neat. They look interesting, but I just don't want to do them because there's no evangelism, no church planning, there's no Christian in them, and they deny it. And I don't want to do LGBT friendly. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to be part of trans or gay group that wants to promote their gay. Nope, not interested. The Alien RPG looks semi-interesting, and you know, Alien RPG can be Christian because it's in Earth, so you can do Christian thing on there. And some of the other ones, but I just don't have any interest in those anymore. You know, if it's not for the Lord, I don't know. Not interesting. Just whatever. I'm just so like, does it have Christianity in it? Well, if it doesn't, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it looks neat, you know. Anyway, game of life, you know. I just had a happy Thanksgiving. I'm gonna go enjoy Christmas coming up, all that stuff. Yeah, these are on Amazon if you want to check them out. And my Alfred books are on Amazon. We're going through the rough draft right now, editing of Alfred 6, which is my fantasy series, but it's Christianity in it for sure. So I finished Alfred 6, and I'm going to finish the entire series with Alfred 7, which I'll be starting to write in January. I'm going to be disciplined now and write and finish those books because I know I need to do that. It's going to be 7's going to be the big finale, epic finale. We all been waiting for. Anyway, the game of life, everybody. Roll holy dice.